just young stuff you do when you're the first 4-wheel drive truck you get. And you're like, oh, I'll just dip the edges into the lake. Oh, it turns out the lake is a shelf. It goes right down. I mean, I've got like history in this thing. Like, it's, man, so much history in this thing. It's like, I don't even know if it's appropriate for YouTube, some of this stuff that's happened in this truck, you know? It's just like, man, there's a couple times, it was the one time I was in a lake, barely. First girlfriend at the time, it was in the lake, and there was water coming in. But the first time I ever had a girlfriend get mad at me. And, you would have left me in there to drown. I was like, no, I wasn't leaving the truck to drown, all right? You're gonna get out. As men, do what you say you're going to do, period, full stop. And disassociate with men that do not do what they say they're going to do. It is only gonna screw you over. And if you make mistakes like I did, you are not a victim. Victims are weak. Take responsibility for your own shit. And I didn't know about locking the hubs at the time. Well, I knew about locking the hubs at the time, and I would have come out, because this truck famously has never truly been stuck on its own power. Never put it in a situation like that, because, you know, that manual locking hubs is really lightweight. But she refused to get out to lock the hub as it's sinking down and water is starting to flow. And I'm like, I need you to get out, and I need you, because if I can't leave my position right now. I need you to do this. And she was like, no. Sold it, and I knew when I sold it, it was a bad idea. I knew right then it was a bad idea. I knew I was walking down the wrong path. I should have stopped, should have evaluated the situation, should have been like, this is crazy and chaotic. And I had a business partner flake, and you know what? Time out. We had a deal, you broke the deal, let's dissolve the partnership properly. Instead, I was just trying to patch it together because we were busy. Like, I didn't even have the moment to even really do the paperwork with him. I mean, we did the paperwork, but I was like, dude, I got to squeeze you in at the end of the day at a bank to sign you out on equity to get it, you know, notarized and everything like that. And it was totally the wrong mistake. I should have been like, you didn't do what you said you were going to do. That's my #1 rule as a man. I don't expect a woman to do what she says she's going to do. I think women reserve the right to change their mind at any point in time for no rational reason, and I understand that, and I respect the feminine energy. But when a man, somebody who should have, I perceive to have masculine energy, is not consistent in their word, I immediately, that's immediate no-fly zone for me. That's out, you're done. If you don't do what you say you're going to do as a man on a handshake agreement, I'm out on you 100%. That's one of my #1 rules. Millennials are just, they're flaky. Like the whole generation's flaky. There's a few that aren't. That's who I associate with, or, you know, or I don't. And nonetheless, my mistake. I should have unwinded it all right then. I should have paused the bus, but oh, wait a second. I'm in a good spot. I got my equipment, got my old trucks paid for. I got new trucks, I can sell them. What is going on, guys? I'm just leaving my mom and dad's place. Had to pick up some cash. I'll explain to you on our trip today what's going on with that and why I'm grabbing an envelope of Biden dollars from my dad. So, also my mom keeps these little bubblies. They're so good, little sparkling water bubblies. So good. So, when I was a younger guy, and I'm still young, 32, I had a goal of buying my first diesel truck. That was, for me, my big goal in high school. So I looked at my options when I was 12, 13. I mowed some neighbors' lawns. Got to 14, got a job at McDonald's. Worked there for a year and a half. I'm an unemployable person, so I eventually got fired there for telling my manager that one day she'll be replaced with an automated vending machine McDonald's, and there will be no need for her. And our manager, Mary, did not like that. But I did meet my best friend there. He worked the computer in the first window, and I worked the food in the second window, and we worked next to the beach. We worked next to like one of the top beach in America, at least that's what some magazines call it, Siesta Key. We worked at the Siesta Key there, McDonald's, Sickney Point. So we had a lot of fun doing that, and you know, so I went to start my company, my lawn business, after I left McDonald's. I was 15 and a half. I bought my dad's old truck. It was a 1994 GMC Jimmy, the smaller one, like the S10 one. I blew that up in about a week. I'd had a learner's permit, took it for a spin when my parents were gone, and spun the bearings on it. So anyway, I learned how to swap an engine, basically had no money, borrowed a buddy's trailer, and you know, used up my savings on that truck and a Exmark 36 lawnmower, and then I had my old like Home Depot black backpack blower, and I rented borrowed a trailer. Anyway, got the thing going. 6 months later, this is after turning 16, of course. About halfway through being 16, I go back to McDonald's, see if my buddy still works there. I didn't really have his phone. It was like right before we all had cell phones and things like that. This is like 2005. And some people did, but my parents had a strict policy. If you can have anything you want, you just have to buy it. And so I was too cheap. I didn't get one until I needed it. And so anyway, go back there, and my buddy's still working there, and I'm like, hey, you wanna come mow lawns with me? He does. And so anyway, he helps me build out this company, and a week before I turned 18, I'm cruising around. I really wanted a Dirty Mac. I wanted a Dirty Mac's diesel. They were super expensive, and couldn't find any really. And I found this F-250 sitting in a Sports Authority parking lot. And anyway, I talked to the guy and negotiate with the guy, and it was a 62,000 mile 7.3 5-speed, really 6-speed because it's got the granny gear. 2000. It's 2000 model. It's got the, you know, the suicide doors in the back, and you know, king cab, I think is what they call it, 4x4 locking hubs. Ended up being like the perfect truck, and I buy that thing from him for 18 grand 100. I needed him to hold it for me for a week or two while I got my cash situation handled. And anyway, I went to the bank, got all the cash, paid him 18 for that truck, drove that truck, loved it. Turned it into a vegetable mobile, ran it on vegetable oil, had that thing all through college, took it all the way up to the Carolinas, took it to DC, took it out to Virginia, took it up to Georgia, run that thing everywhere on vegetable oil. Second time it was stuck was on the side of a mountain in Georgia. We ran up there to go to Mount Helen or check out waterfalls and stuff. It was me, my best friend, and his girlfriend, now wife at the time. We've got 2 kids, and I turn around on this road and I get stuck. And I'm like, all right, jump out and lock the hubs. And she was like, no. My buddy Justin in the back was like, open the door, I will do it. We were on the side of a mountain, and lock the hubs, comes right out. We got out, state trooper shows up. Well, you guys blocking the road. And his girlfriend at the time was like, I'll explain this. I'll explain this. I'm like, oh gosh, Cammy's gonna explain this. And she's like, we were on the side of the mountain, we almost died, this and that. State trooper didn't give a rat, but nonetheless, was locking hubs on that thing, just had my back every single time. Start my business, start doing bobcats. Actually, I had to do a couple lawn businesses to get to doing lawn. I'd build and sell them, start doing bobcats. I have one of my employees become a business partner. Don't do that, super bad mistake. We start this company, landscape supply firm. And my options at the time were invest what capital I had from my last business sale into Bitcoin, which I just saw at $3. And like do the backpacking thing, go laptop around, figure out how to do videos, do the YouTube, whatever. Like just make money online and go backpack. And forget it, or start this landscape supply thing. Well, my buddy was like, you said we were gonna start this landscape supply thing. And anyway, I do that route. It cost me about 50 million bucks. And so we get down the road, we're building this company out. We go through regular company growing pains. It grows really fast. I mean, nothing crazy, but you know, we get to $500,000 in revenue in like a year and a half, 2 years. We've got like 3 different Bobcat skid steers, or 2, or whatever it is, and we're swapping them out, we're getting gooseneck trailers and dump trailers and additional trucks, and it's just going crazy. And there's a company in town, and anyway, they're competing with us real heavy, like dropping prices as much as they can, and times get hard. As far as the business, we're right in what I call normity, which is under 500,000 in revenue, we were crushing it. Above 500,000 in revenue, we were not crushing it, and we needed to get to $1 million in revenue to really get back to crushing it. It was like we had growing pains. It was like I didn't have a secretary at that level. I couldn't afford it. I didn't have a mechanic on staff. I couldn't afford. Those things come as you get larger, but I was in that spot where it was 12-hour days plus paperwork, plus, you know, go out on Sunday to clean things and get things organized for the week. I mean, it was just right there, as opposed to when we were smaller, it was easier. Nonetheless, bad things happen with that business partner. He ends up not doing what he said he was going to do. We made a verbal agreement. It was going to be a 7 to 10 year game. We said that. I was like, dude, this is 7 to 10 years, and then we'll sell this company. And it was like 2.5 or 2 years in or whatever. He ends up flaking on me. He ends up peacing out. I need to buy him out of the company. I really should have shut it down and just been like, here's the assets we have. You own 20% of them. I own 80% of them. Here's the debt we have to, you know, for different things. You own 20% of it. I own 80% of it. Sell assets, get that taken care of, move on, do my own thing. I had Bobcats. I had, you know, I had everything I needed. Instead, what kind of happens is I have other employees. They work themselves into taking that individual's position. They saw what was going on. I had a young infant at the time, helped take care of her, and everything's just chaotic and crazy. This dude bounces on me. I just wanted him out of the company. And I did what I said I would never do, and I sold that 7.3 truck because I had purchased additional trucks. I had 3 other ones, and I didn't necessarily need that thing anymore if I was going to continue doing what I was doing, which is supplying sod pallets and mulch pallets and heavy weight, like lots of weight. Like we're hauling around 15,000 pounds all day. Now, if I had just went like just on the Bobcat service thing, my little F-250 would have been perfect and just done that and, you know, whatever, till, you know, shut the whole thing down. We had 7 employees, the whole thing. Anyway, I sell that thing to pay him out real quick. So I pay him out and he gets paid out. And of course, I was young and naive, and he comes like a month later and screws me over. He hires from my staff, the whole thing, and I never hear from him again. I see him once or twice from that point on. In the last like 6 years, ran into him once, but like it was just like, dude, I did things I told myself I would never do, like the truck I brought my daughter home from the hospital, and the truck, my first diesel truck, like there's no reason to ever sell it. It's a great truck, I just didn't need it, but it was the one asset I had that I could really liquidate at that point in time and pay you out. And anyway, the kid just screwed me over. Nonetheless, I've thought about that moment since then, because it was really a bad move for me personally, because the next group of dudes that came in after that point in time were 10 times worse than the original kid. We had a good thing going on then. We had a tree company division, and this is in my course, my Landworks playbook. But they end up starting a company, opening a company bank account with the same name as mine, cashing checks through it, utilizing my equipment, and taking the remaining part of decent chunk of the other employees, spinning off their own branch with my capital and my Bobcat and my tree lift and a trailer of mine and my grapple. And the police were able to get me some of the stuff back, but then the other stuff they were not able, like our tree lift. It came back one time, it got stolen again. The police were like, handle this in court, we don't even want to deal with it. I was like, really? This is like grand theft. They didn't even want to touch it. So nonetheless, bad mistake. Like, I shouldn't have had employees and given them equity and done that. And if I had stopped at what I said I would never do, which was sell that truck, and I just looked around and been like, you know what, I'll sell these other trucks. I'll shrink the business down. I'll take a step backwards to go 10 steps forwards. Instead of having this chaos at, like, you know, this crazy company that's growing so fast, I'll tone it down. And I'll cut my revenue by 50% and keep my good customers and cut my employees by 60% and just get to a spot where I can have peace in my life. I chose not to do that, and I sold this truck, and it went against my thing. So I called the guy I sold it to, wasn't sure he still had it. Like a year ago, half a year ago, I don't know, somewhere. I was like, hey man, if you ever sell that truck, do you have it? He's like, yeah, I still have it. And he's like, I told him, if you ever sell the truck, I want the truck. He's like, probably will never sell the truck. He accidentally calls me a couple months ago, and he's like, hey Trav, what's up, man? We're gonna be in this town tonight. You wanna come out and get some beers? And I'm like, yeah, you're calling the wrong Trav. I'm not in Jacksonville tonight. And he's like, oh dude, sorry man. And I was like, hey, how's the truck? And put it in his mind, and he's like, yeah, it's good, man. Anyway, don't hear from him. A couple weeks ago, he hits me up, hey man, I got orders, I gotta ship out. I'm not gonna pay the rent, the storage fees to store the truck. You want the truck? And I'm like, yes, I want the truck. Ask him how many miles are on it. It's got like 50,000 more than I sold it to him with it. So I'm like, that's cool, because I've had other vehicles since then. I put like 200,000 on all these other vehicles. So I'm like, perfect. You know, how much do you want for the truck? It's basically what I sold it to him for, because it's a 7.3 diesel, but thank goodness he's not like totally charging me too much for it. I sold it to him for like 9, and he's selling it back to me for like 8.5. So he got the drive really well. You know, you get the drive for basically free. I do understand you have to put the clutch back, put a new clutch in it and things like that. I'll ask him what else he had to do. So I look at my cash situation, because this just happened like a week ago, really. And I look at my cash situation. I'm like, okay, what can I do here? Like, I've got house funds, and I'm adding funds right now to the house. I need more money to go that direction. So I'm not pulling from there, right? I got this big project. It's $300,000 project. I can't pull funds out of it. I look at my business. Do I have any assets I want to sell? Yeah, no, but it's going to take me some time to sell some assets. I look at the cash flow I have coming in. I'm like, okay, I can pull from that. I look at my operating capital. I'm like, I don't really want to cut it down that much. So anyway, what I've done is I have taken physical metals. I went to mom and dad a couple days ago, and I was like, hey, opportunities came, get my truck back. And my mom's like, we were thinking about that thing. And my aunt said the other day when she was down, she was like, yeah, I'm surprised you sold that. I'm like, it was a really bad time in my life. It was a really low point in my life. I was getting screwed over everywhere. And it was me. I'm not a victim, because victims are weak. It was me. But I was making the wrong decisions, and it was a crazy learning lesson. So I went to mom and dad, and I'm trying to wake them up. I'm trying to, in many ways, be like, hey, you guys need to start stacking metals. Anyway, I go to mom and dad's with a duffel bag. I drop the metal on their table, and I'm like, that's $8,500 in silver. I need a loan against that for Biden dollars, fake cash, because I need that truck back. And, you know, I can pull from other areas. I've got savings that's in interest. You know, it's an interest-bearing account, so I don't want to penalize it. I have crypto, but my rule is I don't sell crypto. I don't sell metals. I buy those to use those. That's why I buy it. I don't buy it for price appreciation. I buy it for like the financial collapse I know is coming, and that's when those things will have real value. And then I buy dips. I hope that they all dip all the time. I buy stuff and I hope it drops 90% in value so I can buy more all the time. But I don't trade it. I'm not smart enough to know when it's high, when it's low. I don't know. I know where it's going, and I just buy it. So go to mom and dad, drop the silver on there. Dad gives me the cash. He's like, yeah, stop by. I'll have the cash in an envelope for you. And so what I've basically done is I've loaned against my metals to get a private loan from mommy and daddy. But that metals are in their safe at their house. And so it's a fully collateralized loan. I told them I'm gonna move some cash around, and then I need like 30 days to I just wanted to see how this quarter shakes out, the end of the year really, end of the fourth quarter. And I told them, I was like, I've got to re-up insurance policies for January 1st. I got to figure out what I'm keeping, what I'm selling, you know, how much revenue's coming in. Like I just got to redo what I'm doing. And because I'm mid-house build right now and I'm paying like tons of different contractors, I just told them, I was like, I don't know exactly what I have available, and there are certain things I don't touch, and they know I don't touch my crypto, I don't touch my metals, I don't touch them. The truck is on its way out to the property right now, so I'm gonna meet them, and it's all coming together. So basically I'm correcting that mistake that I made several years ago. Get you paid out so you're whole, pay off whatever debts we have, scale this whole thing down. I would have had to let 7 employees go. You know, but I could have done that, and I didn't do that because I wanted to keep it for the employees. And I coach with a lot of guys. I'll put a coach link here. I do a lot of coaching calls with guys, and I see them make the exact same mistake. Well, man, I got to do this for my employees. I got to do this for my dad. I got to do this, dude. Number one thing, virtue is selfishness. I'll link to that book. It's imperative that you take care of yourself first. You've got to take care of yourself first. The amount of people that I wasn't able to help at some certain points in time because I myself had my own issues, that was my mistake. And if you can, you have an opportunity to try to make it correct. This is one of those things I threw out there. I've been thinking about this for a long time. Like, man, I'd like to get that truck back, you know, because it's one of those trucks where, you know, it gets up there in miles and all you do is just repaint it, redo the interior, and pull the engine when it's time, and you know, twin turbo it up, put it back in there, and keep running it for another 20 years. It's one of those things. It's a pristine asset. Literally exactly how I left it. It's Constitution of the United States. You know it's scratched that. Right, here she is, a 7.3. Looks great from afar. A little bit far from nice. There's a couple details, things I'm like, I knew the black paint was gonna fade. I was expecting that. And running boards have rusted a little bit. Those have gotta go. There's a couple new fresh dents. So it's gonna need some body work. The interior, I was expecting, like, we're gonna be redoing some of the interior for sure. nothing bad with it, but I always wanted to redo these seats, and my wife knows how to do that stuff. Like, she can do all that upholstery stuff, and so do that. It's got some dry right there. Dash is in great shape though, which is amazing. Mechanically, it's running great. Got one little on the left driver's side wheel bearing, something over there is not sounding or feeling right, but other than that, everything is doing well. Buddy there I had sold to and then bought it back, had taken these door panels off because he's having an issue with these doors sticking, and basically something had just aged and dry rotted in there, and he pulled it off. He was trying to put it back together before he gave it to me, but I'm like, that's fine. The dents that are in it are on both of these doors actually, so when I bring it to my body guy, and just went by his house, he's gone, he might end up just telling me like, let's get new doors, put the new doors on the back and then paint it. We'll find out. And I definitely always need to retint the back of that thing, so rip that off once we get that done and retint it. Headliner for the most part looks pretty good, and the tint over here, that was me. One time I had to retint it because when I bought it from an undercover police dude, and he had them all tinted out, and then I got pulled over one time by a cop, and he like didn't make me pull my tint off, but it was clearly illegal. And so anyway, I'll probably end up, once we get everything done, I'll do the little things like retint it, just because it's been like that. I like washed it. I don't know. I can see some imperfections and it bothers me, but other than that, it's looking pretty good. I've always wanted to do something with this bed, and the bed has some dents in it too. So I might just take this as an opportunity to say, forget the bed, take the bed off. Weird, like doing a flatbed type of thing, but I've always wanted to do something like with a headache bar, aluminum, Jeep tent camper, and then hook the SS sled up, which this audience might not be familiar with the SS sled, but if you follow me on Instagram, you know about the SS sled. And you know, be able to take the SS sled in this truck like down to the Keys and just camp out at a campground and like have everything we need, and you know, go enjoy long weekends with the family. But she's back. Yeah, don't look at the bed. Don't worry about the bed. Bed's probably not coming together. And then I put these mirrors on myself, and I was in a rush when I did that, and they're not looking too good now. And I didn't hook up the power window. The power window motors, like I never hooked up the switch. So I'll use this opportunity to put new mirrors on it as well. And shine this thing up, and we'll go from there. So Project 7.3 coming back together. Man, she's back. Can't believe I got her back. How fortunate was that? And got my truck back. Made a mistake as a younger guy. Learned a lot from it. Proverbs says wisdom is worth more than silver and gold. I hope it's true. But it's a big personal win for me to have that truck back. And man, you can't find manual 7.3 4x4s anymore. So it's like, finally got mine back. Thanks for watching.